Hey everyone, and welcome back to Small Talks with MyWellbeing, where today we're going to unpack how do I know if my therapist is a good fit for me? Such an important question and one that we receive all the time. So thank you so much to those of you who have shared with us this week. We can't wait to unpack this. So first and foremost, as a baseline, you want to feel like your therapist or your coach is really listening to you. So you want to feel heard, you want to feel seen. Some of the ways you might know this is if cumulatively week over week or in any duration of your care, that you feel like there's a cumulative understanding of what you're sharing. So if you shared about your friend Joe last week and something else has happened with Joe this week or next week, you're not necessarily starting from scratch and, oh, who's Joe? And it's okay if right at the onset you're clarifying or your therapist or coach is asking clarifying questions. It does sometimes take time to intuitively, innately remember all of that stuff, especially if there is a high level of detail that you're sharing. But the interest is there, the curiosity is there, the trust is there. You never want to feel dismissed, judged, shamed for anything that you're sharing. You also want to be able to ask anything that comes to mind. So the question and how the provider responds to your question may vary pretty widely according to their technique, their style, their personality, their background, but you at least want to be able to ask versus having the feeling of absolutely everything being like bottled up and contained, that you feel that performance anxiety. Now, there's also something to be said for that can take time for that chemistry and rapport and trust and fluidity to really get like a well-oiled machine. And there's an element of just, it's hard to be vulnerable and to be sharing and unpacking some of the moments that are most vulnerable, uncomfortable, unpredictable for you. So if you're feeling uncomfortable, if you're feeling challenged, if you're feeling stretched, that does not mean that your provider is a bad fit. And then what I'll also say is your needs may change over time. So for example, it might be a really good fit for you now to walk out of sessions with really concrete, actionable next steps of what is your evening routine going to be to improve your sleep? Or what is your diet going to be to improve your energy level? Whereas over time you may find, okay, now I've integrated all of these various things. I want to go deeper, and maybe you'd want to explore more patterns. And what's really important there is to have that open and transparent conversation with your provider. So if you're having doubt, if you're having concerns, if you have questions, see if you can challenge yourself to talk about that with your provider and to gauge their response may be indicative of whether or not you think the fit is still there. And the last thing I'll say is that if therapy or if coaching is taking time, if there are some sessions that you think, wow, I have no idea what I just talked about for 45 minutes, or where did that come from, or is this working? Am I making progress? First things first, that is absolutely normal. And secondly, things like therapy, things like healing, things like growth, they take time. I would encourage you to think about it more like an education than like a pill or than an immediate Band-Aid fix. So for example, you don't go to one advanced mathematics class and assume that you'll have a PhD in advanced calculus, right? Like you anticipate it might take many months, many years. It might take a combination of self-teaching, guidance from professors, office hours, study groups with your friends to really gain the tools, tips, and perspectives, expertise of that material. And in the same way, especially if you're in one of your first engagements in therapy, especially depending on what your age is, the type of things that you're unpacking, if it's taken you 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years to build some of these patterns and tendencies and to have accumulated some of these experiences, it will take time to unpack those, to gain the chemistry and trust and rapport, to gain the insights from that relationship, and to start having aha moments or to start having realizations or to start noticing that you are actually responding differently to different stressors in your day-to-day. So all of that said, I encourage you to practice some mindfulness and curiosity around when you are faced with stressors that you've been faced with in the past. How are you reacting? Are you noticing that there is a little bit more space between trigger and your reaction? Are you finding that you're feeling a little less irritable, or your relationships are a little bit stronger, or your ability to focus or sense of fulfillment at work is a little bit higher? So note that these things might not feel dramatic or abrupt, but just practice curiosity over time. How are those things panning out? So I hope this small talk was helpful for you. Please keep the questions coming. We love answering what's most top of mind for you. And if there's been a helpful insight or aha moment that you've had around this question that I did not mention, please comment it in the comments below. You never know who you just might make their day or really make a powerful impact on someone else's journey. And if you think that this would help a loved one, please do share with them. We're here and we're happy to help. I wish you a love-filled rest of your week and looking forward to seeing you soon on another Small Talk.